And we continue at 1:06 in the afternoon on the John Phillips Show. Mr. Randy Wang's across the glass.
John, this week in Eagle Rock, a subway was shut down because of a rat infestation. So, of course, Fox 11 had to send Ed Laskos to find out how bad it was.
No, would you eat the food?
No.
Because of the rats?
No, yeah, because everything is very contaminado.
She's not wrong. You know, if they were young rats, maybe Jared from Subway could take care of it.
I had a feeling that joke was coming.
800-222-5222 is telephone number 1-800-222-5222. Well, there is a potpourri of news from the city of Oakland to go through. I know yesterday we did a lot on Oakland, but 24 hours, I guess, is an eternity when you're talking about wild stories coming from that city.
Well, with San Francisco on the upswing and San Jose on the upswing, Bay Area reporters got to get their crazy news from somewhere. So sometimes all it takes is going over the Bay Bridge.
And this time it involves pirates.
We have told you before about the pirates that took over the Oakland Estuary. Well, now it turns out there is a high school rowing team that is doing their training out on the water, and they have to constantly dodge either the pirate ships or the abandoned ships or the people who are living anchored off the grid, even though they're not supposed to. And if you're wondering why OPD doesn't do anything about this, let me just remind you, I believe OPD has one cop who knows how to drive the police boat.
One cop?
They were training a second, but I don't know if that ever happened.
Well, can we get him a canoe?
For more on the plight of the Oakland rowers, here is KPIX in the Bay.
A big problem on the water. This happening in Oakland, where more boats are moving in near the Jack Lennett Aquatic Center, all in violation of an ordinance that bans anchoring for more than 12 hours.
Ordinances don't mean anything if they're not enforced.
Can't we just send the Coast Guard in and enforce maritime law?
That ordinance was passed back in 2023 in response to issues we have covered for years on the Oakland Estuary. Everything from piracy to people living on broken down vessels.
Is it Somalia or is it Oakland?
Can you imagine what those drunken sea captains must be like?
You will see a little bit of this if you ever take a boat out of Marina del Rey. People who are living just out of the jurisdiction of Los Angeles, just kind of living on their own, living on the edge, probably doing drugs. Apparently, this is all over the place right as soon as you get out on the water in Oakland.
Do they look more like Gilligan or the skipper?
As Kevin Coe explained,
nobody on meth looks like the skipper.
Some of them do look like Gilligan.
As Kevin Coe explains, the city is not enforcing the law.
They look a little more like Mrs. Howell.
And they're 24 years old.
As Kevin Coe explains, the city is not enforcing the law, leaving East Bay teens and their families to figure it out.
It's 16-year-old Lucas McGowan's third year with Oakland United Rowing.
Rowing is like the only sport that I felt truly at home at.
He and more.
Have you ever rowed up to a body?
Well, listen. What better motivation is there to row faster than to have a pirate chasing you?
Rowing is like the only sport that I felt truly at home at.
He and more than 100 fellow Oakland area high schoolers row here in the estuary for 5 to 6 days a week.
Okay, all four. Sit ready.
If you wonder why rowers are in such good shape, that's the amount of training.
Oh, yeah. Not only do you have to row, but you have to fight off a bum living on a boat.
Row.
The adrenaline is pumping. Everything goes quiet and you're just going. It feels so nice and unlike anything else.
But going anywhere these days isn't easy for these rowers due to boats illegally anchored in the estuary.
So what? It's become a game of Frogger?
This is like the homeless RVs, but on the water.
Usually it's the homeless dropping trow. Now they're dropping anchors.
Tom Horton is with the East Bay Rowing Club.
So this is our Jack London Aquatic Center boathouse building.
The Jack London Aquatic Center and the waters along the shore are under the jurisdiction of the City of Oakland and the Oakland Police Department. A city ordinance prohibits...
What do you think these anchored boats smell like that haven't had their sewage pumped in years?
Probably like the RVs.
A city ordinance prohibits boats from anchoring here for more than 12 hours because, as the ordinance states, they are, quote, immediate or potential hazards to navigation and the environment. But Tom says the issue is a lack of enforcement.
If there were only one or two, it really would not be an issue, but now we have a dozen. And it varies from week to week.
As soon as you get out on the water, there's a dozen just anchored ships.
Here's what you need. You need a bigger ship with a cannon, and you can take care of this problem real fast.
Saying we got to call in the Navy.
And it varies from week to week. They come and they go, but there are a number of the boats that have been here for months and months. We've had boats that have gotten caught on the...
You know, there's been a lot of different reality shows that have covered different walks of life. Has anybody done, and we're not talking about like, you know, the cruise ship shows or the thing that you love to watch.
Below Deck.
I want to see a show about boat people. People that live 100% of their life on boats.
Okay, if they're living on a boat because they dropped an anchor in the water somewhere, who brings them the meth?
Well, sometimes you got to go ashore. I don't know if they have someone on a little dinghy who does the delivery service.
Will Uber Eats bring it out on a boat?
We've had boats that have gotten caught on the anchor lines of the anchored boats. We've had boats that have been blown into and capsized.
The well-being of the rowers is always Heather Kokora's top priority.
So the kids are responsible for taking the launches out, getting everything ready.
How many clauses are in that liability form that you have your parents sign to let you go out into the Oakland waters to row?
Well, I would imagine if you're a parent and you're sending your kid out in the ocean to row a boat with the other students, you're primarily worried about them drowning, right?
I would think so.
Okay. You don't think that a crazy pirate is going to strangle them to try to rob them to get more meth money.
Taking the launches out, getting everything ready.
She's responsible for more than 125 teenage rowers and has concerns about their safety.
None of what's happening down here is normal. And
could say that about most of Oakland.
I love the seagulls in the background, too.
It's the craziest thing. It's supposed to be a gorgeous city in one of the most beautiful parts of the state of California that's right on the water, and it's a third world country.
With pirates.
Happening down here is normal. And I think what bothers me the most is how it affects the kids.
While also...
Is there any other port city on the entire West Coast that's like this?
I would imagine that Portland and Seattle are just as bad. They have more drugs than us, if you can believe that.
On the East Coast, we know you got Baltimore.
Nancy Pelosi's father used to be the mayor.
While also acknowledging the reality of the situation.
There's a lot of crime that happens out there. There's also people that are out there just trying to do their best.
They're not doing their best.
Oh, come on. Stop making excuses, lady. This is why you have what you have. Because even after you've been through everything you've been through, you're still making excuses for them.
Again, my pitch meeting, the elevator pitch, the title of the show, How I Ended Up on This Boat.
Well, I can answer that question in one word: meth.
No harm, no foul, but there's others that are also causing trouble.
They use a small boat to row back and forth between the shore. They have dogs on board. They have children on board. And it really is...
Is that even allowed?
Wouldn't that be child abuse? If you're raising your child on a meth boat that's illegally docked in the estuary?
Raising them to be a swabby.
They have dogs on board. They have children on...
Where do the dogs go to the bathroom?
I don't know. Where does the cabin boy go to the bathroom?
You just hold them over the port, say go?
Well, it gets cold at night.
And it really is their house. But the problem is that it's a very leaky house.
How leaky? Because if it's real leaky, then eventually it'll sink.
A lot of them have. There is a lot of hollowed out hulls on the bottom of the estuary.
Yeah, well, I would imagine there aren't very many treasure chests, though.
The problem with a leaky house, it can end up like this.
The boat started to sink, so they paddled it around the corner here and let it sink.
Tom isn't hopeful any action will be taken.
It'll be that way until...
You got to remember, one of the first stories we got out of the estuary a couple of years ago was people that own boats that paying the slip fees didn't realize there were squatters in the boats.
And good luck getting rid of them.
It'll be that way until the winter storms come, and then the boat will start to break up, and all the debris will end up on the shoreline or on the bottom of the estuary.
The hope for Tom, Heather, and Lucas is the city prioritizes the estuary by enforcing a law already in place.
They're going to need more than one boat cop.
Oh, no. All these environmentalists that got elected to city government in Oakland, their wokeism supersedes their environmentalism. So they're going to let all of those boats sink and all of the contents in those boats just sit there in the estuary because that is preferable to forcing these people to go into a shelter.
But for Lucas, there isn't anything that could stop him from doing what he loves.
I'd love to see them removed, but the sport itself has still been amazing and will continue to be amazing.
And the folks we spoke with in this story, Tom and Heather, have reached out to the city for help. We have also reached out multiple times to the city of Oakland and the Oakland Police Department with no response. We'll stay on top of this story.
Well, if you don't, nobody else will.
Just think about this for a second. How wild this is. We're in a first world nation. We're in the biggest, richest state in the union. Oakland is one of the bigger cities in the state of California, and pirates have taken over the water.
The estuary is full of dozens of boat people.
And not because they have bigger guns than us. We have much bigger guns than them. We just gave it to them. We just allow them to live there. You want to know how we should handle this? Buy a ticket to Disneyland and go on the Pirates of the Caribbean. Take notes. It's not that hard. It's not that complicated. The boats are already sinking. You just have to give them a little help.
You know, sometimes I pity radio hosts in other markets. Nobody has what we have when you have to cover the insanity that happens in Oakland, California.
What are they talking about in Kansas City?
Barbecue festivals?
I guess.
How the Chiefs doing?
Honest to God, if I go to dinner tonight and I tell the people at my table, so here, I got a story for you. You know, up in the Bay Area, which is one of the richest places in the entire United States, it costs a fortune to live there. Did you know that pirates have taken over the estuary in Oakland? They'll look at me like I'm on drugs. No, they haven't. Oh, yes, they have. Pirates.
The high school rowing team has to row around all the anchored boats of the boat people.
Only here's what's funny about it. These pirates, they're missing more limbs than Captain Hook. I guess one too many accidents in the salad shooter. I don't know. But they're out there, and you know what? They're dirtier than the ones at Disneyland, too. And I know back then they had no access to shampoo or soap or clean water, but I'll be damned if they weren't in a better place regarding hygiene than these people. And get this, they have dinghy boats too. And they fill up the dinghy boats with animals and children when they need, you know, more meth. Is it like the old days when everyone would just pile into the station wagon so you can go to the drive-in movie theater? Okay, kids, we're out of meth. It's time for us to do another run. Get your life jacket and your flashlights and get in the dinghy, and don't forget to bring Fido, too.
Is there a bonding moment, a really coming-of-age story when father shares the meth pipe with his son for the first time?
Well, there are some very popular children's novels about being stuck on islands and stuck on boats. And, I mean, that was what? That was the K. Island of the Blue Dolphins. We all had to read that in 4th grade. You really want to spice things up, just add meth to the storyline.
Oakland, just add meth.
What are you going to do? If you live there and you've seen this, give us a call at 800-222-5222, 1-800-222-5222, because I would imagine that the language that these pirates use is relatively salty, let's say.
If you've experienced any of this weirdness coming out of the Oakland Estuary, give us a call.
Gee, I wonder why Royal Caribbean doesn't go out of that port.
They go to Stockton instead.
Can you imagine Royal Caribbean's pulling in? They've got the water slides. They've got the flow rider. They got all the bells, all the whistles. They got the wall that you can climb. And they show up, and their employees, their passengers, their entertainers are all getting robbed. You got Clay Aiken showing up to the port because he's been booked to go sing Copacabana. And a pirate holds him up at gunpoint. All right. If you've seen this before, give us a call. 800-222-5222. 1-800-222-5222. Your call's coming up right here on The John Phillips Show. If you'd like to email the show, you can do so at johnnydon'tlikeshow@gmail.com. That's johnnydon'tlikeshow@gmail.com. And Randy, now that we've hit the halfway point of today's show, if you want to continue listening to us after we sign off at 3, that's easy to do.
Maybe you want to go back to the first time we talked about pirates on the Oakland Estuary back in the Shangtao days. Search for The John Phillips Show wherever you get your podcasts, Apple Podcasts app, iHeart, Spotify. Search for The John Phillips Show. Hit subscribe and download all the episodes.
Pirates have taken over the Oakland Estuary. Many of you live in that area. Some of you may have even seen it. If you've seen it, we want to hear from you at 800-222-5222, 1-800-222-5222. 800-222-5222 is the telephone number, 1-800-222-5222. Pirates have taken over the estuary in Oakland. You're our eyes, you're our ears. Have you seen this? Let's go to Dave in Oakland. Dave, hello.
Yes, sir. We've seen it. We've been going down to Fifth Avenue since the late 70s, and the vigilantes are towing some of the wrecked boats up onto the parking lot just to cut them up and get them hauled away. But the pirates have been accused of stealing boats because there's Union Point, and where people pay to park boats, but there's homeless living in all these parking lots. The boats are mainly concentrated around Fifth Avenue all the way up to 16th Ave at Union Point. And we need leadership. There's Coast Guard Island there that could do enforcement, and lots of people get their boats stolen from the docks they pay to be at. So it's a mess.
If you pay to keep your boat in a certain place, they don't provide security to keep the bums out of there?
No security. At Union Point, people pay big money to park their boats, and there's showers. So they've closed off one end of Union Point where you could park your cars because they had to keep the people from living in cars there. But the other end, where the customers park, there's 5 or 6 homeless cars and trucks and trash all over the parking lots. So no security. It's just a huge mess. And Fifth Ave, they had people living on the docks and using them, but they've cleaned that up because Oakland runs a rowing club out of there, so they try to keep that clean. But the other end of Fifth Ave, they've locked the gates also, so the public can't go in there anymore with their cars.
And I would imagine when the homeless, when they take over a boat and they drop anchor, all of their trash, all of their waste is going directly into the ocean.
I was going to say the kids, they run great clubs. You can go to 9th Ave, which is beautiful, a lot of new housing, and you can stand in the old 9th Avenue warehouse terminal dock, and they've put 3,000 housing units. So that's beautiful, and you can watch. The kids are doing sailing clubs, and they're falling in the water. So where do you think all these people's crap is going into the estuary?
Oh, God.
Oh, no.
So test the water quality if you want to see how bad it is. But, anywhere along the estuary is beautiful. And, I mean, all the way to the High Street, which is run by East Bay Regional Parks, that's cleaner because East Bay Regional Parks don't mess around. They got their own police force. But 5th Ave, 7th Ave is pretty clean because that's port property, so that's clean. But 5th Ave's right above Jack London Square. Jack London is clean, but 5th Ave is kind of out of control all the way up to 16th Ave, which is Union Point. And you can see all the boats. I mean, you can tell what a homeless boat looks like or a pirate boat. But they call them pirates because they're stealing from all the people that have on the water.
All right. Well, thank you for the call, sir. I appreciate it. Now, Randy, you know that everyone names their boat, right?
Uh-huh.
If you were to own a boat, I would assume it would be called the Quite Frankly.
That would be a pretty good name for it. I don't know. It might be the...
What would be a good name for a homeless boat?
Most of those names you cannot use on the air.
If you have a good idea as to what a name for a homeless boat should be, email us at johnnydon'tlikeshow@gmail.com. That's johnnydon'tlikeshow@gmail.com.
The SS Meth.
Let's go to Brad in Pleasant Hill. Brad, hello.
Good afternoon, gentlemen. I wanted to weigh in with a slightly different bit of information on this piracy issue. I retired from that police department after nearly the better part of 20 years. Came on when crack first hit and took that entire right through the 90s into the early 2000s. I've never seen this piracy issue, but I've seen everything else in that city, and I can tell you where this all stems from. We used to talk about it in the police cars in the middle of the night regarding the politics. And people really need to understand that the police department doesn't charge anything. The police department works with the office of the district attorney, the city council, and mayor's office. And as long as people are voting the way they are in that city, they have isolated the police department from their ability to really effectively get out there and do things. That's why you're seeing nothing being done. It's called depolicing. That started in the middle 90s, and now I really see the evolution of it. I feel really bad for the residents in that city, but until they change how they vote, this is only going to get worse.
You are 100% correct. Nothing will change. It doesn't matter how many letters to the editor you send. It doesn't matter how many times you call your elected officials. It doesn't matter how often you post on social media. If you don't start changing the way you vote, don't expect any different outcome.
Exactly right. You're going to get more of the same. We see this in Oakland. We see this in the county. We see it all up and down California. They get rid of one politician and replace them with the exact same ideology. And that's why nobody is getting anywhere. It's really unfortunate. I'll say this one last thing. That used to be a fantastic police department. It was highly aggressive. They got things done. Looking back now, I'd be in state prison today for the things that I did that back then were standard policy procedure in the general orders. They've all been changed. So now that's why you see these police cars hiding behind buildings, doing paperwork or drinking coffee. They are not going to go out there and do proactive police work. If I were to do that today or back in my day, they'd have fired me. So it's sad. So to your listening audience, think when you get to that ballot box, it starts at the local level. Thanks for taking my call.
All right. Thank you for the call, sir. We appreciate it. Let's go to Brian in Downey. Brian, hello.
Police department's highly aggressive.
Brian, can you turn your radio down?
Unless you have a meter.
I think he's going to say hello in about 10 seconds.
It's a little longer than that. Should we just wait and see?
Yeah, put him on hold. All right, let's go to Adam in Colorado listening online. Adam, hello.
Hey, boys. Good to hear from you. Great show as always. I had one thing to ask about the pirate thing. I loved in Disneyland. I grew up in Southern California. Loved Pirates of the Caribbean. But is it pronounced Pirates of the Caribbean or is it Pirates of the Caribbean?
I honestly don't know. I've heard it pronounced both ways, and I hear it both ways all the time.
Yes, so do I. And I've been, Fresh Baked Disney and all that stuff, and I can't really get a solid one on that if I'm pronouncing it wrong or right. Not really sure, but...
well, how do you pronounce the cruise ship company?
Royal Caribbean.
Is it Caribbean? Pirates of the Caribbean.
No, I said Royal Caribbean.
So you have to enunciate the A's or whatnot.
All right. Thank you for the call. I appreciate it.
Somebody started Jimmy Buffett Friday early. Although, if you're in Colorado, you're in mountain time, so 5 o'clock starts a little earlier.
Well, he's not wrong, though, because at Disneyland, it's Pirates of the Caribbean.
Or the Caribbean.
But, yeah, Royal Caribbean. I hear that all the time. I don't pronounce it that way, but I grew up right next to Disneyland. I don't know. Let's go to Patrick in San Gabriel. Patrick, hello.
Hello, I'd like to give the names of the boats.
Okay.
I think you should start with New Scum 1 and then just go down the line, New Scum 2, 3, 4, etc.
Oh, yes. Have a bunch of Newscoms right there at the port.
Yes. Everybody knows who's responsible for this.
All right. There you go.
And if it's going to be a Newsom theme boat, it's going to leave a trail that looks like the Exxon Valdez.
That's right. And if the Newscom goes down, where's the campaign manager's wife?
Should we see if Brian realized that we already called him?
Yeah.
Brian and Downey.
I think you should start with New Scum 1 and then just
No, he's still listening.
Yeah, boy, he is committed.
I mean, hey, he's listening. We like that.
Let's go to Tim in Long Beach. Tim, hello.
Hey, this is Tim.
This is John.
I came up with a good name for the homeless boat.
Okay, what is it?
Fent Ferry.
That's fantastic. The Fent Ferry.
All right. Thank you for the call, sir. I appreciate it.
All right, one last try. Brian and Downey.
Here's Brian.
Brian.
Brian and Downey.
Do you want to talk to John?
Yeah, I do.
All right, hold on, please. Let's go to Brian and Downey. Brian, hello.
Okay, this is Brian and Downey. You know, that Oakland Estuary is a navigable waterway. That means the United States government has jurisdiction over it. And given all the pirates in that waterway, I think Trump ought to call in an airstrike on those boats. What do you guys think?
Well, listen, if we've brought in the National Guard to keep order in downtown L.A., why not bring in the Navy to take back the Port of Oakland?
Absolutely.
Now, how accurate can an airstrike be? Because you don't want to put an airstrike on the Jack London Aquatic Center and have it end up at the Jack London Square.
It can be very accurate. Just look what happened to that drug running boat with those narco terrorists in it off the coast of Venezuela. That was a very precise pinprick attack. We can do the same thing in the estuary.
Well, if you did that and any dolphins were harmed, they wouldn't be from Miami because the Raiders left town.
That's a good one, John. Anyway, I think it's so appropriate you guys are doing this segment on Jimmy Buffett Friday.
Oh, yes.
Let me say for Jimmy, arg. I don't know what it's pronounced, Caribbean or Caribbean, but arg. I'm a pirate.
Thank you for the call, sir. There aren't any Jimmy Buffett songs about homeless pirate ships, are there?
No, but Some of them could definitely work for that.
Jimmy did look pretty shaggy in the 70s.
And most of his like old songs from like the first couple albums are all about like robbing gas stations and stealing peanut butter and it's a good time.
Maybe he speaks to the homeless.
We've got quite a few emails that have come up.
Oh yeah? What are the emailers saying?
Well, some of them are boats and some of them are about pirates. Let's start with Greg. Yayo, a tweaker's life for me. Barbara says the homeless boat name should be the Nomad. Steven says the homeless boat name should be In Newsome We Trust. The Allison writes in at JohnnyDon'tLikeShow@gmail.com. The Oakland Pirates boat name should be Floaters. Jimbo's got a few. Driftwood Dream, Rogue Wave, Nomad's Nautica, Wanderer's Wake. Jack in West Hills writes in, how about the SS Bilgewater? Jay writes in, what about Mindful Booty? Ken writes in, hey, John and Randy, the name should be Hobo plus Boat, Hoboat. Richard from Bakersfield, how about the SS Hard Times? Or the SS Floating Turd? Or the SS Government Funded? Oh, here's another one from Greg. Tweaker of the Sea. All right, Nacho and Rosemead, what do you got for us?
Hey, Nacho, I have a name for that boat. About the SS Breakwind.
Thank you so much for that. Rosie in Echo Park. Rosie, what do you got?
The name of the boat should be Skid Float.
All right, that's the winner. That's the best one so far.
Well, what happens when it sinks, though?
I don't know. And I guess it'll just join the rest of the homeless at the bottom of the sea.
Thank you so much for the call.
Now, you know that people, scuba divers, they go down looking for the treasure chests because pirates had gold.
Maybe they're looking for oysters and pearls.
Well, maybe if one of these boats goes down, you can go down there and look for fentanyl.
Does that disintegrate in the water?
I don't know. It depends how careful they were to protect the fentanyl.
Now, if you're not super careful with your supply and some of it goes overboard, how high are the fish in the estuary?
Oh, can you imagine? All those coked out fish? You know, eyes on fish are pretty big to begin with. You fill those fish, those gills up with cocaine. Can you imagine what they would look like? Finding Nemo, all doped up. It's the John Phillips Show.